Shri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om Dhyayamo Dhavalavagunthanavatim Tejomayim Naishthekim Snigdhapangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmitashrimukhim Vatsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Syamangim Madhusikta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Amriteshwaryai Namah Om Amriteshwaryai Namah Om Amriteshwaryai Namah. Om Amriteshwaryai Namah. Let's continue with our discussion on Hanuman Chalisa. We discussed the verses 29 and 30 the last week. We'll continue with the 30th and the 31st today. We were discussing about how Lord Hanuman's glory spans over all the 4 periods of time, all the 4 yugas. And today we will look into the various abilities Lord Hanuman had as part of the various boons that he received. Again, highlighting the greatness, the achievements of Lord Hanuman. So let's go into the 31st and the 32nd verses for this week. So the 31st verse is Ashtasiddhi Navanidhike Data Asvar Deen Janaki Mata. The 32nd verse is Ram Rasayan Tumhare Pasa Sadaraha Raghupati Ke Dasa. So these are the 2 verses we'll discuss today. So let's look into the pronunciation first. Let's do it in 4 parts. Please respond once after me. Ashta Siddhi Ashta Siddhi Nav Nidhi Ke Data Nav Nidhi Ke Data Asvardeen Asvardeen Janaki Mata Janaki Mata. All together once, please respond after me. Ashta Siddhi Nav Nidhi Ke Data Asvar Deen Janaki Mata. Ashta Siddhi Nav Nidhi Ke Data Asvar Deen Janaki Mata. The 32nd verse, let's do it in 4 parts first. Please respond after me once. Ram Rasayan Ram Rasayan Tumhare Pasa Tumhare Pasa Sadaraho Sadaraho Raghupati Ke Dasa Raghupati Ke Dasa. Once all together, respond after me. Ram Rasayan Tumhare Pasa Sadaraho Raghupati Ke Dasa. Ram Rasayan Tumhare Pasa Sadaraho Raghupati Ke Dasa. So what does the 31st verse tell us? It says Ashta Siddhi Navanidhi Ke Data. Data, the giver, the bestower. Or when someone bestows, they are the very beholder or the very owner of that. Of what? Ashta Siddhi and Nava Nidhi. Ashta Siddhi. Ashta, 8. Siddhi. Siddhis are the various abilities that we can have, perfections that we can have. So Ashta Siddhi, the 8 abilities, the 8 supreme abilities that Lord Hanuman had. And Nava Nidhi. Nava, 9. Nidhi, treasures, which Lord Hanuman had or Lord Hanuman possessed. So Ashta Siddhi and Navanidhi, which Lord Hanuman possessed, and one who has the ability to give, share it with others or bestow it upon others. And Asa Varadeen Janaki Mata. Asa, likewise, Var, boon. Likewise, boon, Deen, given. So, likewise was the boon given by who? Janaki Mata. Mata, mother, Janaki, Mother Sita. Mother Sita, who is the daughter of Janaka, thus her name is Janaki. So, Mother Sita bestowed the boon upon Hanuman, that may you have the 8 siddhis and the 9 nidhis. And Lord Hanuman, one who possesses both these 8 and 9 siddhis and nidhis, he bestows it upon others. He blesses us with that. And then the 32nd verse says, Ram Rasayan Tumhare Pasa. Ram, Lord Rama, Lord Rama's name. Rasayana. Rasayana is more like the secret potion or the nectar, the ultimate solution. Tumhare Pasa is in your possession, is in your in your control. Lord Rama's name is the wealth that you have in your possession. Sada Raho, Sada, ever, Raho, ever be. Raghupati, Raghupati, Lord Rama, who was the ruler of the Raghu dynasty, the son dynasty. So Raghupati, one who was the lord or the king of Raghu dynasty. Sada Raho Raghupati ke, of Lord Rama, of Raghupati, Dasa, be of service. So be ever of service to Lord Rama. These are what the 2 verses are pointing out to us. Hanuman, who bestows upon us the 8 siddhis and the 9 nidhis, which he received as a boon from Mother Sita, and he has the nectar or the portion of Lord Rama, Lord Rama's name. And may you ever be of service to Lord Rama. The 2 verses that we are going to discuss today. So the last week during the discussion, we discussed about how Lord Hanuman achieved the state of immortality based on a lot of boons that he received. Because today we are going to discuss about boons. So we'll connect it with the last week. So Lord Hanuman is supposed to be one of the most special beings from all the Puranas, from all the epics of the Indian tradition of Sanatana Dharma, who probably received the most amount of boons. Boons are more like accolades that one could receive. It's not just some simple achievement that you have. It is based on the perfection of your character that you receive boons from the Devas. So Hanuman seemed to have accumulated many of them. We discussed about how Lord Hanuman, the last week we discussed how Lord Hanuman went to gobble the sun, and Indradeva, he attacked him with the Vajrayudha, and eventually Lord Hanuman received boons from various devas, and it seems he received 14 boons from the various demigods, from the various devas. And throughout the course of his life, as he served Lord Rama, it seems he received 21 more boons. So quite some amount of boons, 35 boons that he received, that he can put it on his resume. But more than it being an achievement, rather it is a message for all of us his life is a message. To receive the boons, he became receptive of that. He became deserving of that. And every moment of his life is an example for us, is a teaching for us, is an inspiration for us, how one should be. And the boons are just more or less decorations over what his character, his the best of his character was, or his character which is rather best of an inspiration that one could have or one could draw from. So Lord Hanuman was ever known for his best character, because of which he became receptive of lot of boons. And even to have that character itself is a boon. And that's what we're going to talk about. The Ashtasiddhis and the Navanidhis are the biggest boons that Lord Hanuman had, which made him receptive of other boons, or which made him inspirational for all of us who are trying to grow spiritually. Let's begin with a folklore, one of the stories associated with Lord Hanuman, or rather here it is associated with Ravana. Ravana, we have discussed in the past how he was very capable, and most importantly, he was a very devoted or highly devoted to Lord Shiva. His devotion towards Lord Shiva was very difficult to achieve. The amount of penance that he has gone through, the amount of poems and creations that he has done in praise of Lord Shiva is quite unparalleled. So Ravana was very devoted to Lord Shiva. The only difference is he was egoistic about all his abilities, including his devotion. So that's the thing that didn't let him reach the ultimate stage. And we refer to him as Asura because his dominant quality of his ego. So like I mentioned, he had ego over his devotion too, about his devotion to Lord Shiva, and how through his devotion he could achieve anything he wants from Lord Shiva. So once he decided, I'm so devoted to Lord Shiva is definitely going to grant me whatever boon I want. Let me go to Kailasa and demand a special boon this time. And he goes to Kailasa, Lord Shiva's abode, and he's there to demand for a particular boon. And he was very sure Lord Shiva is going to grant him that boon. And as he reaches Kailasa, he comes across Nandi, who is Lord Shiva's personal assistant. Nandi is a bull, is an ox, who is Lord Shiva's personal assistant. And so Nandi is in form of a bull or an ox. So he asks Ravana, how come? Long time no see. How come you're here? And Ravana says, I've come here to get a boon from Lord Shiva. And Nandi asks him, inquires about what the boon is going to be. And Ravana says, I have a lot to achieve. I need to become the supreme king. And for that, I need Lord Shiva's help. So I just want Lord Shiva to come with me to Lanka. And I'm going to keep him in Lanka. So whenever I need whatever, I can get it from him. And Nandi was quite taken aback. He said, that's not what devotion is about. Devotion is not about possessing. It's not about accumulating. It's not about self-glorifying. Rather, devotion should be exactly the opposite. So taking Shiva away just for yourself is against the whole principle of devotion. So that's not how it works. And Ravana says, don't try to advise me. I'm quite a devotee. So I know what to do, and I'm going to exercise my ability to attain a boon from Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, and Nandi says, no, that's not what you should be doing. And he starts advising Ravana. And Ravana is not very delighted by Nandi advising him. He asks him, who are you to advise me? You are a bull. You are an ox. You are much inferior to me. You are much inferior even to monkeys, because monkeys are supposed to be the one inferior or one less evolved beings than human beings. Human beings seem to have evolved from monkeys. So monkeys may be one step before human beings. So you are even below that. How dare you advise me, is what Ravana asks him. And Nandi, in that spur of the moment, he says, you seem to be too egoistic about your devotion, which is against being a devotee. I curse you that because of this very ego, a monkey or a being which is less, which you consider less, or which you consider inferior to you, a being which is inferior to you will become the cause of your end, or will become the cause of your decline. Because in Kailasa, every being is one and the same. There is no inferior, there is no superior. For that matter, in Sanatana Dharma, as Amma points out to us, the divine is in everything, in every being. We need to see the divine in every being rather than the form of the being. So there is no inferior, there is no superior. So Nandi curses him, telling, a being which you think, which you are calling inferior to you, will become the cause of your decline. And so was it. Hanuman, along with the Vanara Sena, the monkey army, they became the cause of Ravana's decline. Ravana had all the various abilities. He had all the various asuras who had unparalleled power and abilities. And every time there was a crisis situation, like we have discussed in the past, all the various crisis situations, Hanuman would just come and, nullify all the power that they have, and the crisis is averted. So Hanuman was literally the cause why Ravana and all his abilities, all his powers, all his support, none of them worked because of Hanuman, and he became the cause. So when Rama finally defeated Hanuman in the battle, Rama, it seems, hugged Hanuman, embraced Hanuman, calling him his son. We discussed that the last week, I guess, or the week before. We discussed the term Ram Dulare or Ram Dulara, one who is so dear to Lord Rama. He embraced him, called him his son. And it seems after the battle was won, Lord Rama instructs Hanuman to go up to Mother Sita and inform Mother Sita of the victory. And as Hanuman goes up to Mother Sita and informs her of the victory over Ravana, Mother Sita, in joy, in jubilation, Mother Sita grants him or announces or says, may you have the boon of Aishwarya, may you have the boon of prosperity, may you have the 8 siddhis and the 9 nidhis. May you be the possessor of the 8 abilities, supreme abilities, and the 9 forms of wealth. May you have them. So that's how he received the Ashtasiddhis and the Navanidhis. It came from Mother Sita. That's why the first verse, the second part says, it says, Asavardeen Janaki Mata. Mother Sita bestowed this boon upon you. So what are the 2 boons, Ashtasiddhi and Navanidhis? We did discuss the Ashtasiddhi, I guess, during the 8th or 9th verse, if I'm not wrong. We discussed about it. We discussed the Ashtasiddhis being the 8 forms of perfections, or the 8 supreme abilities. What? Anima, Mahima, Garima, Laghima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishitva, and Vashitva. Anima, wherein one could become smaller than the smallest, can become most insignificant. Mahima, wherein it is right the opposite, one who can become bigger than the biggest, can become the most significant. Garima, Garima, wherein you have the weight of your, to be proud, to be something that is dense and heavy. And Garima and Laghima. Laghima is the right opposite, to become weightless. So Anima, Mahima, Garima, Laghima. Prapti. Prapti is the ability to access, to get access to, and to achieve whatever we set our sight on. And Prakamya is the ability to achieve what we desire. And Ishitva, to achieve lordship, to have the ability to rule. And Vashitva, to bring things under our control, to bring people under our control, to bring them under our vashitva. So, anima, mahima, garima, laghima, prapti, prakamya, vashitva, ishitva are the 8 siddhis, the 8 supreme abilities. We did discuss about Surasa again during the verse 8, when Lord Hanuman encounters Surasa as he crosses the ocean to Lanka, and this huge form of Surasa appears, and then she has this boon wherein anyone who she wants to consume has to enter her mouth. So she opens her mouth, and we discussed how it was actually it was in pretext of actually testing the abilities of Lord Hanuman. So she tells Hanuman, you have to enter my mouth because I want to consume you, and no one has the ability to bypass that. If you have any abilities that you can to outwit me, you are more than welcome, but otherwise I'm going to consume you. Hanuman says, okay, if that is the case, please consume me. And he becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Mahima, the quality that we talked about. Mahima, right? We talked about. He becomes bigger and bigger. As he becomes bigger, Surasa also becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and her mouth opens wider and wider and wider and wider. And then Hanuman flies into her mouth as if he's flying into her mouth, and he immediately he uses his ability of anima, wherein he becomes extremely minuscule, goes into her mouth and flies out of her mouth. Because he's so minuscule, by the time the big mouth closes, he's out of her mouth. And Surasa tells her, I have heard of your abilities, your presence of mind, your wisdom, and today I got to see that. You are free to move forward to Lanka. So we discussed, or we did discuss this incident from the Ramayana, wherein Hanuman practices his ability of anima and mahima, right? And if we look at it, we look at these abilities or these perfections from spiritual point of view. Anima and laghima, to become insignificant and small, or to become light, is to become, spiritually looking at it, to become insignificant and small in terms of our ego. To overcome our ego is the biggest ability a spiritual aspirant should desire for, should strive for, to overcome ego. But at the same time, we should definitely practice mahima and laghima too, wherein we practice our authority, especially when we have to uphold dharma. Like a soldier in a war can never say that, oh, I am very modest, I am humble, I don't want to hurt anyone. Hey, enemy soldier, how are you? I bow down in front of you. That's not the attitude a soldier would have. The soldier would definitely practice his mahima, will practice his garima. He will exert all his abilities, he will exhibit all his abilities, he'll exert his authority and try to uphold the dharma that he is standing for. So definitely we do need mahima and garima in right situations too. And ishitva, vashitva, prapti, prakamya, all of them is about securing what we desire for and to have control over something. Right? All four of them are more or less that. And when we are talking about getting access to something, or to control something, or to achieve something, definitely one option is to do it by force. But definitely that is not the best solution. Anything that we try to do it by force, there will be a force acting opposite that and try to get it away from us. The third law of Newton, third law of motion. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. Anything that we try to do with force will be temporary in nature. There will be a force that is acting against it. A celebrity or a superstar can quite influence us, right? But their influence is always in the level of our head, because it is temporary in nature, because it could be one superstar today. We could completely forget the superstar the next year, and there could be someone else who is the superstar, and now they get into our head. It is actually getting into our head, not into our mind or in our heart. To actually get into our heart, it's not the quality of a superstar or a celebrity. What we need is the quality of the superstar also could get into our heart too. How? If they practice humility. If they practice the quality of anima and laghima. When that happens is when you truly get access to someone's heart. You truly are able to influence someone positively. So to actually practice ishitva, vashitva, prapti and prakamya, what we need is humility. What we need is good qualities that we practice. What we need are virtues. And Hanuman is verily the embodiment of that. And that is what made him deserving of all the boons that he received. So Hanuman is humblest of the humble. And at the same time, he could also establish his power, his abilities. He could become the greatest of the great, the mightiest of the mighty too. Hanuman had both of them, but he expressed his might only when it was required against adharma to uphold dharma. Otherwise, Hanuman was always known for his humility, his simplicity, and his devotion. Right? Hanuman is always known for that. The Kathopanishad talks about that. It says the divine, referring to the divine, the ultimate, as Anuraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. The divine could become smaller or even much more minuscule than the atomic particles, than Anu, atom. The atomic particles, the supreme is smaller than that and is Mahato Mahiyan, is of all the greatest things, greatest concepts, greatest people, the divine is even greater than that. So the concept of the divine is wherein it could be smaller than the smallest or more insignificant than the insignificant. It can be greater than the greatest, most significant than the significant. So we need to strive to get these Ashta Siddhis, the 8 Siddhis. And talking about the Siddhis, the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, they talk about how or what is the cause or what defines Siddhis. Siddhi, or perfection, to attain perfection in something, or supreme abilities. So the Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, Janma Aushadhi Mantra Tapa Samadhija Siddhaya. What are the causes, or siddhis could be attained by what? Janma, birth. The birth that we got. It is precious. We should make the best use of the human birth that we have got. We should definitely not let this precious gift go in vain. So that's first. Second, herbs. Herbs, when you say, herbs are basically medicines, things that benefit us. Everything that we get may not benefit us. How does it benefit us? When we become receptive of it such that it benefits us. Like the example of Lord Hanuman, the story, I guess we discussed that. Did we discuss that during Hanuman Chalisa or one of the other scriptural discussions? I don't remember. So anyway, to quickly summarize or mention about that incident, wherein it happened, wherein Lord Rama and Hanuman had to stand across each other in a war, in a duel, or in a battle. And Lord Hanuman was forced in some way or the other. Hopefully we can discuss this story some other time to not take too much time. Hanuman had to face Lord Rama, and they had to fight each other because they had pledged to protect someone who are against each other. Now Hanuman didn't know he had to face Lord Rama. Lord Rama didn't know Hanuman. He had to face Lord Hanuman, because Hanuman is Lord Rama's devotee. He is Lord Rama's servant. How can he fight against Lord Rama? So as Lord Rama showered or shot arrows at Hanuman, Hanuman said, I cannot fight against Lord Rama. I am Lord Rama's devotee, so whatever he gives me is prasad, is a blessing. So I will accept whatever comes to me as a blessing. And it seems because of his devotion, the arrows that came up to Hanuman, they transformed into garlands and fell against or around his neck. So every time Lord Rama shot the arrow, it would transform into a garland and fall around his neck. So it's not what comes to you, it's how you transform it and use it in your benefit. So herbs, we are talking about everything that comes. In literal terms, we can say eating herbs can make us perfect in certain things. Yes. In spiritual terms, whatever comes to us, we should transform them into our advantage. So to control our senses is very important. Third, mantra, constant remembrance and chanting, which is a means of controlling our mind, controlling our thoughts. So mantra, tapa, penance, to have that dedication and to put in sincere effort, relentless effort. Tapa. And samadhi, equanimity, to have an equipoised mind in whatever situation we are in, whether conducive or otherwise. When we have this, when we practice all this, is when we attain siddhi in whatever we are trying to achieve. So even Patanjali Yoga Sutra talks about this, and Lord, who could be a best or better example for this than Lord Hanuman? He exemplified this all throughout his life. So Ashta Siddhi, one who is the bearer of the 8 Siddhis: Anima, Mahima, Laghima, Garima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishitva and Vashitva. And then we move on to the Navanidhis, the 9 Nidhis, the 9 treasures. The 9 treasures are usually associated with Kubera. Kubera is the demigod of wealth. He is considered to be the form of abundance. He is the lord of wealth. He used to rule Lanka, and it seems Ravana vanquished him, and he had to flee from Lanka, and he settled in Himalayas. That's how the belief is. And where he settled down, that city is referred to as Alaka or Alakapuri. Alakapuri is the city of abundance. So Kubera is always shown with a bag full of wealth, full of gold coins, so to say. I don't know what is gold coins, wealth. And he is the bearer of the 9 nidhis, the 9 treasures. Nidhi basically means treasure, the 9 treasures. So he is the one who holds the 9 treasures. So what are the 9 treasures? The 9 treasures are Padma, Mahapadma, Shankha, Makara, Kachapa, Mukunda, Kunda, Neela and Kharva. So what are the 9 nidhis? The first one is Padma. Padma is interpreted as a very special lake in the Himalayas, which is full of gems and lot of mineral deposits in the lake. And Mahapadma, Maha basically means great or greater, or underscores the greatness. So Mahapadma is even a greater lake which exists in the Himalayas, as is the belief, which is full of all many more gems and precious minerals which are deposited there. So that's the literal interpretation of Padma and Mahapadma as wealth. But spiritually, as spiritual wealth, Padma translates to lotus, Mahapadma translates to the great lotus, and we have discussed the spiritual significance of lotus, the complete blossoming, complete opening up, the complete opening up of our heart, our mind to the ultimate state of oneness. So that's what lotus represents. We have discussed that, so I'm not elaborating further on that. The second one, Shankha. Shankha, conch. Conch is again, conch is formed naturally. It's a long, tedious process wherein sediments, minerals, they accumulate and they are preserved by Mother Nature in such a way, and in specific temperature, etc., that finally it comes out in the beautiful form of a conch, and it's a very a pleasing form too. So Mother Nature, it's considered precious because it goes through this process and it has the minerals, it has all these accumulations in it, and it comes out in this form. And this, so it is considered wealth. That's why Kubera is considered the beholder of Shankha, as one form of wealth, one form of treasure. And the spiritual wealth or spiritual interpretation of this wealth, Shankha, is of a closed form. Shankha is not open, it's always closed. It basically reminds us that we need to draw our senses inwards. We need to be closed that way. And because it is closed, when you blow into it, it creates the sound of Omkara. It creates the primordial sound. You know, I don't want to make that sound. Basically, you know how I was about to do that, but I'll make a fool of myself if I did that. So, Shankha creates that sound. We did Arati, right? When we did the Arati, the sound, the Shankha was played along with the faster part of the Arati. You know, I don't know that Shankh, whether it is moist enough. Again, if I try to blow it, I'll make a fool of myself. Shankha, it's okay. I think conch, we know how it is. The fourth one is Makara. Makara. Makara is actually a black mineral, a very precious mineral, which is used for natural decorations, even for, you know, eyeliners and all. What do you call for it? Kohl, K-O-H-L, kohl, is like a specific mineral you use for decorating your eye. So it's again a precious mineral. So Makara is that in terms of wealth. So Kubera possesses that, or he's the owner of that. But then from spiritual point of view, Makara also means crocodile. Crocodile is a being which practices patience to a very good extent. It just stays in the water completely still until the prey comes very close to it. You need a lot of patience for that. And once the prey comes to it, it goes out to the prey, precise, with precision. So about patience and precision is something we need to learn from Makara. That's the spiritual wealth we need to grow. So Makara is that. And you know, there are various terms in the scriptures or in bhajans that we would hear. Here we would hear about Makara Kundala. Lord Krishna, Vishnu are referred to as with Makara Kundala. They have an earring in shape of Makara, or Makara Dhwaja, you know, the flag which represents Makara. Again, all these referring to the quality of patience and precision. And there is Makarasana in yoga, Hatha yoga as we do it. Makarasana is where you lie on your belly and then you stretch the front part of your body, the top part of your body, and the feet goes up. A particular form of, so it is a pose that is to calm our mind. Again, coming back to the same point, Makarasana. So Makara is the fourth one. The fifth one, Kachapa. Kachapa, tortoise. Tortoise has this shell which forms again with it's a strong shell with a lot of mineral, a specific combination of minerals in it. And in olden times, it used to be considered very precious. Definitely is illegal now to use tortoise shell for anything, but it was considered wealth at some point of time. So Kubera is associated with that too, one who possesses that wealth. And talking about the spiritual aspect, spiritual wealth, tortoise, we have discussed this in Bhaja Govindam. There's a verse wherein it says, tortoise pulls its limbs into the shell when attacked. Rather than being aggressive, it pulls itself in. When testing situations come, try to practice wherein you pull yourself in, pull your senses in testing times to delve in your true self. So, tortoise teaches us that. And then the next one is Mukunda. Mukunda is the right bread, right, bright red, sorry, not right bread, bright red, bright red mineral. It's the gem that forms out of this bright red mineral. Even vermilion is usually, I think, prepared out of this mineral. Cinnabar, right? Cinnabar is what we refer to it as. So, again, a precious thing, which again is a treasure that Kubera has. And the spiritual wealth that we are talking about, red, refers to Shakti, refers to Rajas, energy. The ability to act is what red represents. So that is Mukunda. Next is Kunda. Kunda is, it refers to, one meaning of Kunda is jasmine flower. And another meaning is frankincense. Again, both of them spread fragrance. So they are precious. So Kubera possesses them too. And the spiritual wealth, the spiritual aspect, spreading fragrance, irrespective of who is around. You know, the jasmine flower doesn't say, oh, he is such and such, so I'll give my fragrance to him. She is such and such, so I'll not give my fragrance to her. Or you give me $10, I'll give you this much fragrance. You give me $100, I'll give you much more fragrance. The jasmine flower doesn't do it. Whoever is around jasmine can always enjoy the fragrance. Unconditional giving. So that's what frankincense is also such. We burn it, it burns itself to spread fragrance. So again, that of giving unconditionally and that of sacrifice is the spiritual wealth that Kunda refers to. Neela is sapphire, the blue precious stone, or bluish precious stone. And the importance of sapphire is that it doesn't get affected by weathering. It doesn't get affected by any kind of solvent or acid that it comes in contact with. It ever remains as is. Typically in room temperature, it just remains as is. So the spiritual wealth or the spiritual aspect is our attitude should be such, not getting affected by the situations that we are in, especially in testing situations. You should have a steadfast and unwavering attitude in facing situations in life. And the last one is kharva. Kharva typically translates to the utensils that are made out of fire, baking them, baked, like earthen vessels and other forms of vessels. They are made out of baking, so they are considered precious. So Kubera is the owner of that too. And talking about it's from spiritual point of view, Kharva also means dwarf, something that is small. Again, reminds us of the quality of humility, being small. We discussed Anima and we discussed Laghima, being small and being insignificant. Learning humility and simplicity. So that is the spiritual aspect of the wealth. So we discussed the 9 wealth in literal aspect as they are explained, and the spiritual form of the 9 wealth. And who is the best example for that? Lord Hanuman. He is the possessor of these 9 forms of wealth. I'll just read out an excerpt from Amma's keynote address during the Parliament of World Religions in 2004 in Barcelona. Amma said, our God-given abilities are our treasure. They are meant for ourselves as well as the entire world. This wealth should not be misused, creating a burden for us and for the world. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. The greatest tragedy takes place when our talents and our abilities or capabilities are underutilized and allowed to rust while we are living. When we use the wealth obtained from nature, it diminishes. But when we use the wealth in our wealth of our inner capabilities, it just increases. The more we use, it increases. So we need to develop this spiritual wealth wherein we use our abilities for others' benefit and in turn our own benefit. That's when we are truly possessing the 9 treasures, the Nava Nidhis, the 9 Nidhis that we discussed. So Lord Hanuman possesses both these 8 Siddhis and the 9 Nidhis, Ashta Siddhi, Navanidhi. And he received it from who? Mother Sita, Mata Janaki or Janaki Mata. And what is the other big treasure or the other big wealth that Hanuman has, which has ever worked in his favor? That's what is the 32nd verse. Ram Rasayana Tumhare Pasa. The biggest wealth he has had or he ever possessed is Lord Rama's name in his mind, in his mouth, and Lord Rama in his heart. Being inspired by Lord Rama, ever living in remembrance of Lord Rama, ever thinking of upholding dharma that Lord Rama stood for, is his biggest wealth. So establishing connection with the divine, establishing connection with our beloved deity or our guru is our biggest wealth, which we can ever use in our advantage, will always be helpful for us in various situations. Talking about the Lord's name being wealth, I'm reminded of Mirabai. Mirabai, yet another example of someone who lived life exemplifying true devotion, sincere devotion. She was so devoted to Lord Krishna. She dedicated her life completely to Lord Krishna. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to discuss in detail about Mirabai. But Mirabai was so naturally drawn to Lord Krishna. She dedicated her life for Lord Krishna. She was born in a royal family. She forewent all the pleasures of royal life and completely became like a saint, like a renunciate, like what's the term we use? Being austere, hermit, being a hermit, dedicated to Lord Krishna. So Mirabai would spontaneously compose poems in praise of Lord Krishna and praise of the divine. So one of her very popular poems or devotional songs that is widely sung in India or throughout the world is this bhajan, which begins with the line Payo ji maine Ram Ratan Dhan Payo. Let's try to sing it if time permits, but let's at least first go through the meaning of it. So what does Mirabai say? Payo ji maine Ram Ratan Dhan Payo. Payo ji maine, I have attained or I have received. I have procured. I've procured what? Ram Ratan Dhan. Rama representing the divine. The divine's name. The precious gem, the precious wealth of the divine name. I have procured that. That is the greatest wealth which I have attained or procured. What does she say? Vastu amolak di mere Satguru kirpa kar apnayo. My Sadguru, my spiritual preceptor, gave this precious gift to me, and I accept it as his or her grace. So I got this precious gift from my Sadguru. I am accepting this as precious gift or as a grace from my Guru. Then Janam Janam ki punji pai jag mein sabai khovayo. Janam Janam ki punji pai. I have received this wealth after going through births after births after births. And when I received this gift, I have lost all the other precious things that I have. Or everything else that I considered so-called achievements and precious, none of them have any more value. They hold no value to me anymore. So this is the biggest wealth that I have achieved. And then she says, Kharach na koote, chor na loote, This is a wealth which doesn't get depleted the more and more I spend it. And this is a wealth no burglar can steal it from me. And this is a wealth din din badhat savayo. This is something, a wealth that keeps increasing day by day. I don't have to invest it in a bank, or I don't have to invest it in some form of bond or anything. It just increases. The more and more I use it, it just keeps increasing day by day. And then she says, Sataki nav khevatiya sadguru. The boat of truth, the boat of supreme truth, and the guru is the rowman. Rowman is the right term? Boatman, the one who rows. What do you say? One who rows the boat? Huh? Horseman. Horseman. Yeah. OAR, right. Oarsman. So one who, so the boat is the boat of truth, and the guru is the oarsman who helps me do what? Go across, what is it? Bhavasagar tar ayo. I have come across the ocean of transmigration, the ocean of samsara. And then final verse, she says, Meera ke Prabhu Giridhar Nagar. That's her signature line. Every of her composition would say, oh, she would remember Lord Krishna, her beloved Lord. Oh, Meera's Lord, Krishna, Harak Harak Jas Gayo. I feel only blissful. I just feel happy and joyful. The more and more I sing thy name. So it's a beautiful description of the wealth of the Lord's name. I was assuming the tabla and the harmonium player to be seated by now. I think we don't have enough time. So we'll skip the singing because it's already 8:25. We just have 8:24. We have just 6 more minutes. So we'll just conclude with this one excerpt from Amma's message. So talking about wealth, the biggest wealth Lord Hanuman had is Lord Rama's name. And that biggest wealth ever worked in his advantage, in his, in his favor. And that is the wealth we all should try to accumulate as much as we can. And talking about wealth, we'll just read this excerpt from The Children of Immortality. It's a book containing Amma's message during the various birthday celebrations we have had. So this is Amma's message, Amma's birthday message from 1991. Amma says, "My children, close your eyes and calm your minds. Let go of all thoughts and concentrate on the feet of your beloved deity. Don't think of your home or work or catching the bus back home. Think only about your beloved deity. Give up all talk and chant God's name. It doesn't matter how much water you pour on the branches of a tree, doing so is useless. But if you pour the water at the roots, it will reach all parts of the tree. So focus only on the God's feet, for to think of anything else is as useless as pouring the water on the tree branches. If your boat is tied to the river bank, you won't be able to get across the river, no matter how hard you row. Similarly, when you pray, if your mind is tied to your family and wealth, you won't get the proper benefit of your prayers, no matter how much you pray. So when you pray, let your mind be totally surrendered to God. My children, only this will bear fruit. In the world of spirituality, there is no birth or death. The day the concept that we are born disappears, we have reached God's door. The realm of supreme being lies beyond both life and death. Amma has agreed to these celebrations only with the happiness of her children in mind. This is the time when when your renunciation, love, and sense of equality become manifest. Furthermore, Amma gets a chance to see all of you together. Those who have come here shouldn't go back having done nothing. Go home only after repeating a mantra and meditating for a little while. Spiritual practice is our only true wealth. And this is why Amma asks you to do Archana. So Amma says, like Ram Rasayana Tumhare Pasa in the 32nd verse, Amma says our spiritual practice, our connection with the Supreme through this spiritual practice is our biggest wealth, which will ever come in our rescue, our help, in our favor, especially during testing times. So let us understand that, let us recognize that, and let us strive for that. So with that, we will conclude the discussion part today, and we will move on to the chanting of the Hanuman Chalisa. Quickly going through the tables. Was that the tables? So what did we learn from the... Oh, you don't have it? Okay. You can refer to the table, so he didn't update these slides. That's fine. So you can refer to it. It's very simple. The 31st verse, we discussed how when we went through devotion, we can attain the 8 supreme abilities that we could get, and the 9 supreme forms of wealth we can attain through devotion. Devotion is the best way or the most effective way to do so. The 31st verse. The 32nd verse, we discussed, or we try to understand, the biggest wealth ever that we can achieve or receive is the wealth of Ram Dhan, Ram Ratan Dhan, the name or the grace of the divine God, the divine being. The grace and the name of the Lord is our biggest form of wealth that we can achieve. And we should always behold the attitude of humility, the attitude of a servant in the path of devotion. That will take us, though we try to go down and down through humility, it will take us to higher and higher heights. So that's the discussion part. So let us conclude it here and then move on to chanting the Hanuman Chalisa. Om Amriteshwarye Namah. Give us a couple of minutes. We'll set up the mic and the instruments and then sing the Hanuman Chalisa. Om Amriteshwarye Namah. श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारि बरना रघुबर बिमल जसु, जो दायक फल चारि। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके, सुमिरा पवन कुमार। बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि, हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन बिराज सुबेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिंहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाय संजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बढ़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम्हरो जस गावै, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सकै कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान। तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, हो होत न क्या बिनु पैसारे, सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना, आपन तेज संहारो आपै, तीनों लोक हाँकते कापै, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान। सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान। नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा, संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै, मन क्रम बचन ध्यान जो लावै, सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा, और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै, चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है परिसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे, अष्ट सिद्धि निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहा रघुपति के दासा। सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान। सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम सिया राम, जय हनुमान। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै, अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाय, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाय, और देवता चित्त न धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई, संकट कटै मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमेरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई, जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूट ही बंधि महासुख होई, जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साकी गौरीसा, तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय मह डेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप, राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। ओ माता सीता की जय, ओ माता सीता की जय। ओ भ्राता लक्ष्मण की जय, ओ भ्राता लक्ष्मण की जय। भरत और शत्रुघ्न की जय, भरत और शत्रुघ्न की जय। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय। मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु, लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु, लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।